I don't remember the first time I ever went to a shopping mall, but I was born in 1980, so malls have always been a part of my life. Do you remember how it felt to walk into a mall when you were a kid?
How can anybody else be in a bad mood? One look at Bugs Bunny and everybody's in a good mood.
But these days, things have changed.
Shopping is horrible now, but you already know that. That's why you clicked on this video.
Each item must be placed in the bagging area. Place your item in the bagging area. Your order contains an age-restricted item. Help is on the way. Please wait for assistance.
Yeah, it's her. Yeah. You're good, man. Much appreciated.
Is it just me, or has anyone else felt a sense of retail rage when they go shopping these days?
Hey. Call the cops.
Back again, and I want help!
Struggling to deal with pretty high inflation.
This is an organized crime that's really coming into a lot of these places.
Yes.
Well, I got you, my friends. In this video, I want to try to explain why this happened, how we got here, and wildly speculate about how much worse it's all going to get, because it is going to get worse.
We speak English in America.
At a macro level, consumers are still in a very good place.
Some argue it's an easy way, like the weather, for retailers to hide their mistakes.
Shrinkage, clearly a huge problem at Dick's in 20 years.
Gotta be mature. Gotta be mature.
You know, when I was a kid, it seemed like an age when the colossal towers of retail, the malls and so-called big box stores were these unshakable pillars of commerce. Indestructible institutions, immense, impervious, and impossible to implode. They were an incontestable presence in my life, but things change, and boy have they ever changed.
You're dead, mall rat. I am gonna you up beyond repair.
To unravel the threads of this story, it's not just going to be about the fall of the mall or the rise of online shopping. It's a tale of broader implications and cultural shifts, economic upheavals, lifestyle transformations. The awfulness of retail shopping isn't just changing how we buy stuff, it's a sign of a much bigger problem we're going to have to address in the next decade. And now let's start with the evolution of retail.
I'm sorry that y'all can't afford to hire enough people to work here.
It's the future of checking out, and experts say they're in to stay.
Okay, sir, I need you to put that away. We're in a public place right now.
That's why they're not selling?
Can't be threatening people here with pepper spray, okay?
Smashing TVs in Walmart seems to be the newest trend everyone's doing.
When I was a kid, nothing made me happier than going to the shopping mall. Malls weren't just a place to buy stuff, they were the epicenters of our social universe. As a kid, I was awestruck by their grandeur. The stores, the water fountains, the carousel rides, pictures with Santa and the Easter Bunny, all of that happened at the mall. But now those temples of consumerism are crumbling, victims of their own colossal presence.
I mean, look at this place. It's vacant and creepy. And it's not just this mall. This is most of the malls in the United States of America at this point.
In fact, shopping malls are now being tracked like they're some sort of endangered species.
Was tinged with sadness as I thought I might be seeing some of the last of their kind.
Which to me is kind of a bummer. So many of my core childhood memories were rooted in a shopping mall. There was something about the bright lights, the hum, the chatter, the endless rows of stores that seemed absolutely otherworldly to me, like magic. Each store was a treasure trove of stuff we couldn't afford. But my consumerist desires were easily slaked by a child-sized Orange Julius.
And for those not familiar, an Orange Julius was blended milk and orange juice.
I love the smell of commerce in the morning.
In my adolescence, the mall was more than just a shopping hub. It was a kingdom where we, the self-proclaimed mall rats, reveled in our insignificance. We strolled the corridors, mocking the well-dressed mannequins, feeling like we owned nothing but everything all at once, and eventually landing a job at the mall was a rite of passage, a nod to our growing autonomy and approaching adulthood. And it didn't matter if you were slinging smoothies or folding shirts. You were becoming an adult when you worked at the mall.
No way!
In my opinion, the decline began subtly in the early 2000s. First a store closing there, then an entire wing over there. The giants didn't fall overnight, but the ground usually shook when one of them died. It was a slow bleed exacerbated by the rise of online shopping and a shift in consumer behavior. And a lot of folks will say that the shopping mall got its comeuppance. That's because the rise of the mall had this ripple effect. As the malls grew, they drained life from the American downtown. These historic shopping districts that were once the heart of communities were left gasping for relevance in the shadow of these retail gigantic malls. Post-World War II America saw a surge in suburbanization. Families moved to the suburbs, drawn by the promise of affordable housing and the allure of a different lifestyle. This migration shifted the retail focus from city centers to the suburbs, where land was plentiful and cheap. And there was always lots of parking.
Hey, excuse me, pal. You can't park your car there. No, you gotta move your car. That's my friend's spot.
The convenience of ample parking, climate control, and various stores all under one roof without having to move your car drew consumers away from the traditional downtown shops.
Even the department stores, which had been traditionally the anchors of downtown shopping, became the anchor tenants of the shopping malls.
Economically, the rise of the mall was bolstered by favorable tax laws and development incentives, making it more lucrative for businesses to invest in suburban malls rather than downtown storefronts. This financial tilt further weakened downtown areas as retailers and consumers alike migrated towards the new commercial hubs.
We enjoy spending our money here too.
How come?
Because the bargains.
Visually, this transition, it was stark. Bustling downtown streets, once lined with the local businesses and vibrant street life, became empty, storefronts shuttered, and the sense of community that thrived in these downtown spaces really diminished. In essence, the rise of the mall signified not just a change in shopping habits, but a profound shift in American social and economic dynamics, reshaping cities and communities in ways that are still felt today.
And that's because the shopping mall construction boom of the 70s, 80s, and 90s was stupid and short-sighted. It required big piles of public cash up front to build all of these shopping malls.
And were destined to descend into obsolescence over time, and in their final acts either haunt the landscape as eerie relics of themselves or require costly facelifts that were also courtesy of public funds.
St. Louis County Council tonight.
They voted to tear down the Jamestown Mall.
That money is going to come from the American Rescue Plan Act funding.
Hey man, this is the dirt mall. Cops never come in here. Neither does any self-respecting consumer.
Even when I was a teenager, there were these different types of shopping malls and the stratification of old malls versus new malls. In the town that I grew up in, there was the new mall that was built in 1990, but then there was also the dirt mall, which had opened up in the 1960s and had fallen into disrepair. The new mall had all the good stores and where all the cool kids hung out, and the dirt mall was where we went to shoplift boxes of Juji fruit and go watch discount movies at the second-run movie theater that was a part of that mall. Even in the mall heyday, there seemed to be a constant better malling that seemed to happen, with new malls siphoning customers and cachet of the older malls. But now I can guarantee that you're hearing all of this and wondering and saying, hey, did the death of the shopping mall revive the American downtown? No, not really. You see, the seismic shift towards mall culture represented more than the decline of urban centers. It underscored a stark contrast between the fates of small, owner-operated businesses and large corporate entities. Downtowns, once bustling with independently owned shops and unique local products, they began to wane under the shadows of the colossal malls and big brands. And now I know I'm at the risk of oversimplifying things here, and there's a lot of additional contributing factors to the decline of small and mid-sized downtown areas. Still, these malls, these emblems of corporate might, offered an impersonal but efficient and standardized shopping experience that small businesses in the downtown areas couldn't compete with. While the malls boasted national chains, uniform products, and the allure of convenience, downtown offered a different type of value proposition. one that was often complicated, opaque, and bespoke. Even if you look at the composition of things after the urban gentrification cycle of the past 20 years, the small owner-operated business in a downtown business district makes up a significantly smaller portion of the overall business mix in these areas than it did 50 years ago. Part of the reason why the downtown shopping district never quite recovered was another retail shopping trend that became ubiquitous by the end of the 20th century. The big box store!
We are Walmart.
Last time.
The tale of the big box store is a story of innovation, market dominance, and consumer culture. And much like the shopping mall, it really took off in the 1960s, gained momentum in the 70s and 80s, before it really became the main way that people bought things by the year 2000.
Companies like Walmart, which was founded in 1962, capitalized on that suburban growth.
They offered a then novel concept of a vast warehouse-sized store located in suburban outskirts with a variety of products available for purchase.
Tempers flared at this Walmart in El Paso.
It was like the traditional department store, but so much better. Walmart's strategy of low prices and vast selection appealed to the budget-conscious American family, setting a precedent for the industry.
Walmart's Super Inflation Buster sale blasts through the inflation barrier with big discount savings.
Alongside Walmart's success, other retailers also sprouted up around the same time. Target, which had its roots as a more traditional retailer, actually opened its first big box store in Roseville, Minnesota in 1962. Home Depot launched in 1978, and they revolutionized the home improvement sector.
No, you just pay at the register.
No, man, you go ahead and handle that for me, man. You earned that bump like a motherfucker, man. Keep that.
These big box stores didn't just offer products, they offered an experience. Walmart's always low prices slogan resonated with the consumer, while Target introduced designer partnerships to blend affordability and style. This era also saw the rise of membership-based warehouses like Sam's Club or Costco.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
And they offered this sense of exclusivity by buying through bulk.
Costco's for members only.
By the 1990s and 2000s, big box stores were a fixture in the American landscape, and they made the entire American landscape look the same. I mean, like, you can't go into any city in America right now without, like, driving down one of those ugly street road strips that have just big box store after big box store, interspersed with fast food and casual dining. I mean, if you want to tell people what America looks like now, that is what it looks like pretty much anywhere you go. That architectural landscape wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the big box stores. The big box stores also had this profound impact on local businesses and shopping malls, oftentimes outcompeting them due to their scale and pricing strategies.
Despite their success, big box stores have been facing a lot of pressure and competition from e-commerce giants like Amazon.
To stay relevant, they've tried adapting and trying to integrate their online shopping with a physical presence. You know, Walmart and Target in particular have really invested heavily in delivery, logistics networks as a way to try to mitigate the online competition.
Walmart really is right now defining what the future of retail is.
The war against the machines.
But today, as I wander around the alleys of big box stores, there is this palpable sense of an era fading.
Seems like things are starting to get past their prime. The once bustling aisles are starting to feel chaotic and haphazard. Most stores seem to have this contradictory blend of empty shelves and key items missing, yet at the same time having pallets and boxes in the aisles for merchandise that they don't even have room for. And I genuinely feel like I've seen this pattern play out in retail shopping before.
It's like the beginning of the end. I wouldn't be shocked to see in 30 years from now that the Walmart or Target experience of today is something that we look back on wistfully as we wait for our next subscription-based drop shipment from the Meta Uber Wish Corporation.
Rondo the Thirst Mutilator had come to replace water virtually everywhere.
But when it comes down to it, it wasn't really the big box store or the shopping mall that truly killed the American shopping experience. It was a much greater, much more existential threat. And I know that this is probably the part of the video where you're going to expect me to talk about e-commerce killing brick and mortar stores, but it really wasn't so much the internet that killed brick and mortar. Convenience was the culprit. Led by behemoths like Amazon, online shopping did most definitely turn the retail world on its head. I mean, imagine for a moment the contrast between the world that was versus what online shopping has brought to the table today.
It's a fart vacuum and it sucks up your fart. Just slip it in your pants and press the vacuum to quickly suck up your fart.
You know, back in the 90s, when I was a teenager searching for obscure punk rock records, my options were very limited. One, I could travel from my suburban Connecticut hometown to a cool college town like, I don't know, Northampton, Massachusetts, and spend the day scouring the record stores. Two, I could order the record I wanted through a mail order catalog and nearly double the price I paid when you factored in shipping and handling, and my impatient teenage ass would have to wait 4 to 6 weeks hoping for the record to arrive. Or number three, I could just give up and settle for whatever limited garbage selection was at the local Sam Goody at the mall.
Goody's got it.
However, with the advent of the internet, this revolutionized the process. I could easily order the exact record I wanted online and have it delivered within days. And oftentimes it was even more affordable than an in-store purchase. The friction of matching obscure consumer demand with scattershot supply was massively reduced. It went from being a sci-fi fantasy seen in AT&T commercials in the late 90s to an honest-to-goodness investing bubble that popped in the early 2000s.
Ooh, hey, Poodles! Did you know that Pets.com delivers food, treats, and toys?
To a real deal way of life by the end of the 2000s.
Can't get enough Prime here. We need it Prime. We need Prime harder, faster, stronger. Prime now.
You know, I used to have this boss who would always bloviate,
fast, cheap, or good, but you can only get 2 out of the 3 unless you're ordering Vietnamese takeout.
But for consumers shopping in the late 2000s and early 2010s, it was also all 3 of these things. It was fast, it was cheap, and it was pretty darn good. Why did we all opt to move more and more of our shopping activity online?
Hit it!
Goblin mode activated.
Holy Spirit, activate, activate, activate.
The convenience of online shopping with its endless variety and the seductive promise of doorstep delivery, it fundamentally changed our consumer behavior. It hardwired our brains to become even more demanding, selective, and impatient. This trend went on for roughly 20 years. It was further accelerated when we stopped buying and owning media things like music, movie, and books. When I was a teenager in the 90s, they were all real tangible things, but not no more. Instead, we moved to a model where we rented entire digital media catalogs. I mean, heck, I had to search my attic to find physical copies of music or movies to hold up as a prop for you for this part of the video. But as soon as we got used to one very specific way of buying things online, things changed dramatically again. There was a critical tipping point that we all hit in 2020.
I don't care. It's my right as an American. I have my rights. Not wear a mask.
The pandemic!
Let's go. Let's go. Shove your and your mask. Not wearing it.
As lockdowns and social distancing became the norm, shopping became an even greater digital behavior. Even the major brick and mortar retailers merged more and more of their operations into online hybrid business models.
Introducing Walmart Pharmacy Curbside Pickup.
And platforms evolved from being just a convenience or a preference to an outright requirement.
The shelter-in-place mandate is California's attempt to flatten the curve.
For many, this shift wasn't just about safety, it was about survival, both in terms of health and maintaining normalcy. E-commerce became a lifeline, providing access to essentials and non-essentials alike.
Gas stations are essential, so are grocery stores, marijuana dispensaries, convenience stores.
This period of time highlighted the utility and efficiency of online shopping, embedding it deeper into our consumer habits and possibly leaving a lasting imprint on all of our retail behavior. But this change also metastasized many of the problems we see today, both with consumers and businesses. I mean, first, let's talk about the problematic consumers, because yes, folks, we are all part of the problem.
You see my purse?
Yeah.
That means I'm first.
Oh, congrats on being first at Chili's.
I don't appreciate your sarcasm.
Overall, I think the issue was that we all sort of started to forget how to interact with people in person.
Yeah, I'm recording myself on safety. Exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing it for.
I'll put your little butt down there and mash you to snot.
Get out of my face.
You get out of my face.
Touch me.
The shift towards online shopping, socialization, and media consumption came at a cost. we spend a greater and greater percentage of our waking lives staring at various glowing rectangles and not having to deal with real, living, breathing people.
You don't have the ability to even come up with your own ideas and get out of a godly man's face.
The impersonal nature of digital transactions eroded the human experience that was once the hallmark of in-store shopping. Where we once had pleasant, insipid, small talk conversations, we now have confirmation notifications. Where there was once the possibility of a chance encounter, now there's only the predictable package delivery and upsetness if it doesn't come on time. Even though we now go to the store, we often do not even interact with the people there. This is partly why we now have disgusting examples of retail rudeness.
Sheep, you're a sheep. You're a sheep. You're a sheep.
The atmosphere really has changed in those instances when we do shop in person. Impatience simmers underneath the surface, aggressive demands are more common. Perhaps it's the stress of the times, or maybe it's the anonymity that online shopping provides us, but regardless of it all, it has made us all a lot less tolerant and a lot less empathetic.
Your car. What? No, you can't take my cart. This is my cart. You can't take my cart. What are you doing, dude? It's mine. Oh my God.
We don't seem to appreciate the humanity of the humans we now interact with. We're as rude to them as we are to Alexa or ChatGPT. Alexa, give me a sandwich. And the retail workers, once the friendly faces of our shopping experience, now often find themselves on the front line of this new, harsher consumer landscape. They're navigating the complexities of their job and the increasingly challenging behaviors of the public. We consumers have definitely made shopping a much more horrible experience, but it's not all our fault. From the mid-2000s, online shopping blossomed, offering unparalleled convenience and choice. This was also a magical golden age that was destined to end. The signs of strain began to emerge pre-2020. Issues like oversaturated markets, increased reliance on questionable labor practices, and concerns over data privacy started to tarnish the once ideal image of online retail. As ethical and logistical challenges arose, the convenience that made these platforms famous began to show its darker side. 2020 accelerated these trends, and that, my friends, is when the Enshitification really hit the fan. And by the way, how the heck did Enshitification, a term first coined by Cory Doctorow to describe the pattern of decreasing quality of online platforms that act as two-sided markets, how did that not get named as the 2023 word of the year? 2023 was an enshitified year that saw an absolute dominance of that term, and company after company living it like it was a gosh darn core value.
Get your head out of your authentic ass, Merriam-Webster.
The glory days of door dashing a burrito or priming a roll of toilet paper are long over, my friends, unless you're a gosh darn aristocrat. A handful of corporations now wield unprecedented control over the retail marketplace, and that's where the capitalist snake is eating itself.
Ways to drive more profit to help the bottom line. Product shrink ray. Reduced manufacturing quality. Planned obsolescence, hidden fees and surcharges, subscriptions and recurring charges, decreasing customer service support, dynamic pricing, data monetization.
Consumers are left paying more for less, a subtle yet pervasive erosion of value. Retail staffing is another casualty in this landscape. Understaffing has become the norm, leaving employees overworked and consumers underserved. Now that shows itself in the bane of everyone's existence in the form of self-checkout. Still, it also manifests itself in a myriad of less visible ways. But if you're looking at things from the store manager's perspective, it kind of makes sense.
Paying for fewer hours of labor means less expenses and more profits.
And while we might all gripe and moan about how the shopping customer experience sucks now, the toll on employee well-being is objectively far more significant, leading to burnout and stress that you can see in any online forum for folks who work in retail. This trend reflects a larger issue in retail. The pursuit of cost-cutting and efficiency often overlooks the human element, the well-being of those who keep the wheels of retail turning. the retail sector's current trajectory raises significant ethical questions. But don't worry, consumers are increasingly aware and concerned, and they're beginning to push back. They're demanding greater transparency and ethical practices from retailers, signifying a shift in consumer consciousness. This growing awareness and activism might be the catalyst needed to steer the retail industry toward a more sustainable and equitable future. Oh wait, no, actually that's not happening at all. We're now posting online about how awful it is to shop.
Usually a person has to die before the vultures start circling.
In the new retail ecosystem, a handful of opportunistic bottom feeders have emerged in this great American commerce landscape. Each has its own unique characteristics, and each is very difficult to stomach.
Dollar bucket. Whatever you need, we've got it. Somewhere.
Excuse me? Yes, I'm aware not everything's $1. Huh? Sorry. Have it, okay?
Fun fact about Dollar Tree, Blackout Edition.
So there was a situation at Dollar Tree.
Dollar stores, a concept that really gained traction in the late 20th century, have become a dominant market presence ever since the 2008 recession.
These stores, known for their low-cost items, filled the void left by retreating big box retailers and the slightly less than immediate nature of online shopping.
Their growth really is a testament to finding a gap in the marketplace and filling that niche.
In 2021, dollar stores accounted for more than 40% of new stores that opened in the United States. Dollar General said it was simply filling the locations where other retailers didn't operate. The company told the New York Times in March of 2023 that 75% of its stores were in towns with fewer than 20,000 people. And as someone who now lives in a very rural area, I can say that oftentimes the dollar store ends up representing your best available shopping option. But this is just simply a sign of how awful the times are.
You know, part of the dollar store's explosive growth is their ability to find gaps within local zoning laws that are usually in place to prevent the development of big box stores.
For example, in a small, mid-sized town, zoning laws might cap retail spaces at 10,000 square feet to deter a large-scale retailer. But a dollar store might come in and submit plans to occupy 9,600 square feet, neatly slipping within that restriction. This approach allows dollar stores to increase in areas otherwise off limits to larger retail chains. They really are thriving like coyotes in our new American not in my backyard ecosystem. Interestingly enough, there's a direct relationship between the explosive growth of Walmart, which became America's largest grocery store chain in 2001, and the dollar store boom. The massive big box stores gobbled up market share. That competition actually shrunk the number of grocery stores in America. Then enter the dollar store. These stores averaged a cozy 10,000 square feet, offering a convenient alternative to the massive Walmart Odyssey. They're bigger than your corner 7-Eleven, but they also don't need the vast expanses and parking lots of a typical supermarket or big box store. The dollar store slips very neatly into this tiny little Goldilocks gap.
This retail establishment is just the right size.
So what's the fallout of this dollar store invasion? Employment takes a hit.
These stores usually have about 20% less staff per unit of sales compared to their competitors, and they pay them peanuts. In 2019, the average dollar store employee pocketed roughly $14,571 annually, and even store managers were making roughly $40,000 a year.
These tactics and impacts paint a picture of a retail landscape where the small players and local communities often end up on the losing end of things. In essence, the dollar stores are a microcosm of the more significant retail trends. A major shift towards convenience and affordability at the price of community and sustainability. The impact of dollar stores on local economies is complex. On one hand, they do provide affordable shopping options in areas that might otherwise lack access to essential goods. But on the other hand, their presence can stifle the growth of small local businesses, making them unable to compete with the low price points.
This dynamic creates a paradox where dollar stores are both a necessity as well as a hindrance to the economic diversity and health of a local community. But dollar stores aren't the only retail bottom feeders out there. There's actually an online version, which is much worse.
This video is getting kind of boring. Let's watch something else.
Nah, dude. Let's wishify this video.
balls. And I still know. These bitch bags are free. Come on with one.
Wait a minute, I know.
2块钱2斤，6块钱6斤，8块钱我这个小车，来喽，39，10块，10块。
Well, this is kind of weird, but I guess I'll go with it. In an era where instant gratification has evolved from a mere desire to an expectation, the landscape of retail is undergoing a seismic shift. Drop shipping and social shopping, embodied by platforms like AliExpress, Wish, and Temu, are redrawing the boundaries of retail. Coupled with TikTok's mesmerizing showcase of TikTok shop videos,
if you want to spy on people, grab this thing. I found one on the TikTok shop for only 25 bucks.
You got the black one, right? All right, you guys. So we are going to go ahead, and if you got the black one, you're actually very lucky because the black sells so much.
This revolution in shopping comes with its own set of challenges.
You can share it with your dogs.
Gone are the days of deliberate, thoughtful shopping, replaced by a blur where doom scrolling seamlessly transitions into impulse buying. A few taps of your smartphone, and like magic, another parcel is heading to your doorstep. But often the reality of these purchases is a far cry from the digital fantasy. The cozy sweater from the screen arrives disappointingly thin, and the ingenious gadget you ordered barely functions. It's a retail Wild West where the sheriff has skipped town, presumably to go play Spin the Deal and win a discount on a USB-powered toaster or whatever the heck this thing is. Platforms like TikTok, the platform that made dancing in your room a viable career choice, or could turn a chubby wannabe Vermont farmer into a chubby wannabe farmer who now makes long-winded video essays about the horrible state of retail shopping. TikTok Shop lures you in with flashy videos and promises of trendiness. It's a lot like the QVC or home shopping network that I remember from my youth, but much, much, much more dystopian.
Cody, send one sunglass to reduce 200 protection, you know?
It's easy to blame these platforms, but we mustn't overlook the role of consumers in this narrative. Our collective craving for convenience, bargains, and instant gratification has fueled this chaotic shopping landscape.
Gone are the physical storefronts you'd walk by in the mall while hanging out with friends and craving Cinnabon, and in its place is a digital marketplace that we can access in bed, at work, and on the toilet when we're saying goodbye to that Cinnabon.
These platforms, with their addictive amalgamation of social media and e-commerce, are redefining consumer behavior. They are emphasizing fleeting trends, spur impulse, fast fashion, and integrate a social dimension into shopping far removed from traditional retail practices.
Boss!
Hey, wait! Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, boss, come on, stop it! Electric water pistols, nobody wants them for free!
These building blocks are free.
Why does no one want them?
The people who have never participated are saying the event is fake.
The event is legit. Click on the video and get your own.
I have seen a lot of strange things in my time, but this takes it to a whole other level.
But this transformation isn't without its consequences. The rise of disposable fashion and subpar products not only clutters our landfill, but also masks deeper issues like poor labor practices and a distorted perception of true value. If current trends continue, we might find ourselves hopelessly dependent on these platforms, a scenario some might already find uncomfortably close to the reality. As shopping morphs into an interactive, hyper-engaging experience on platforms like TikTok Shop and Temu, it represents a revolution in consumer behavior. Traditional retail's structured approach is being upstaged by the spontaneity and impulsiveness that thrive on these platforms, driven by constantly evolving trends and influencer endorsements. The line between entertainment and shopping is increasingly blurred, fostering impulsive buying and an overemphasis on consumerism focused on immediate gratification. As these platforms continue to grow, they may fundamentally alter our relationship with shopping, for better or more likely for worse.
This ghost really doesn't need any introduction. I'm sure you'll recognize it. There. Look familiar?
And so the culprit was capitalism all along.
That's crazy talk, son.
What's your source on this? A tinfoil hat?
Pepe Sylvia, I look in the mail. Well, this whole box is Pepe Sylvia!
So yes, shopping is horrible. And while all of this might just be the fault of late-stage capitalism, it doesn't mean that we're all collectively off the hook for trying to do better. I mean, if I look at the current trajectory we're on, it's clear that things are bad and they are progressively getting worse. Each time a shiny new improvement seemingly comes along to fix our shopping experience and solve the problems and flaws of the previous system, it only makes things worse. Department stores in downtown business districts became shopping malls, which became big box stores that moved online, and now we're increasingly dependent on dollar stores and drop-shipped garbage. And while there were like 50 other side tangents I could have taken this video into, I had to cut them because, well, none of us have time for that kind of crap. I shudder to think about what's coming next. But corporate oligopolies and data mining, robotics, automation, artificial intelligence, they all seem like this perfect set of ingredients to make an even more toxic, more dystopian retail awfulness cocktail.
Milk was a bad choice.
Why did I invest so much time and energy in making an overly long and dense video that nobody asked for and will probably garner roughly 1,000 views before drifting off into YouTube obscurity? Well, it's two reasons. First, I don't think it's too late to change things. And second, change starts with us, all of us. Yes, you, the person sitting on the toilet right now while watching a 45-minute YouTube video. You can make a difference.
Me? I can make a difference?
Educate yourself about everything, and don't fall for the shiny facade that initial sales pitches might carry. Remember, every dollar you spend is a vote for the world you want. Fix what's broken, don't just replace it. Try to swap more stuff with your neighbors. And remember, it doesn't hurt anyone to put your thumb on the scale in favor of the little guy or small business. And online shopping? I'm not gonna gaslight you and not acknowledge that it's almost a necessity these days, especially if you're a person like me and you live in the middle of nowhere. But do we really need to consistently go with the worst online shopping option possible?
Burn them. The Lenovo headphones, it's free, and still, no one got them. I'll burn them all.
No, Max, don't do it!
And when it comes to those bad options out there, pressure them to change. Flood their feedback boxes with demands for ethical sales practices, fair wages, and sustainability. Support workers who are choosing to unionize. Ask yourself, what positive changes can you support at a local, state, or even a federal level? And always strive to choose the least bad option whenever available. I'm not saying any of this to shame anyone for how they need to shop in order to get by. Heck, my own worst retail sins probably outstrip the retail sins of most of the folks watching this video. We are all flawed and imperfect creatures, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to do better. You know, for the folks who will actively dismiss this message, I see a lot of parallels to the climate change debate. You know, there's going to be the ostriches, like those folks who are pretending that there's no storm brewing at all. Then there's going to be the blame gamers. Sure, corporations and previous generations have dealt us a lousy hand, but whining about it won't clean up the mess. And then there's going to be the perfection police. Always ready to point out flaws in any solution or in any messenger. But newsflash for you folks, waiting for a perfect voice or plan is like waiting for a perfect climate change solution. It does not exist. And meanwhile, time's ticking and nothing's happening, and in fact, things are probably getting worse.
Things you own end up owning you.
Nobody ever went broke underestimating the taste of the American public.
Don't buy
buy wigs that come off at the wrong time.
Well, folks, this has been quite the odyssey. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please try to share it with like 3 other people and help spread this message like a dollar store in a rural food desert. Thanks for watching.